Good morning, Tanze. My name is Jennifer Lee Coble. I am from Duck Lake, Saskatchewan on my mom's side, and I have mixed European ancestry on my dad's side. So good morning. I'm honored to be here, and I feel very humbled being the first to speak on this panel, because in the first place I was like, why don't you need me? You've got them. I don't need to be here. But I'm here to share with you the wisdom that my ancestors need to bring forward to you this morning, as well as to share any of the experiences that I've had working with Indigenous clients and sitting with them in one-on-one counseling and group therapy, as well as the knowledges that I've picked up along doing the Indigenous cultural safety trainings. So good morning. My ancestry is important to me, and so as I introduce myself, I'll share with you that Elder Roberta Price shared with me that when I call my ancestors, I ask them to come and stand with me here this morning. And when I say that I'm from Duck Lake, Saskatchewan, and I'm Métis, I feel them coming here to bring me strength. And people asked me what I was going to talk about this morning. I said, I don't know yet. So here I am to let that come forward. As Dion mentioned, my current role is the Indigenous Cultural Safety Strategy Lead, as well as leading the foundational training that some of you have been in. And I started working with Aboriginal Health as an Aboriginal Wellness Counselor. So I come with a social work background. With that social work background, I do feel the tension of being a social worker and the history of social work in Canada and in being an Indigenous woman. So I want to really identify that and bring that forward as part of my identity in the room when I sit with somebody one-on-one, or as I come forward in the trainings. I definitely bring that forward as well. Jen Dahoney, one of our facilitators, often talks about our professions. We come with professional lenses too, right? And so I really need to identify all of those different lenses that I'm looking through and sitting with as an Indigenous person. And one of the key pieces that I really want to identify that Dion said already, and I know Elder Roberta Price has really helped me understand, and then all of the other elders that I've worked with and had the privilege of listening to, is this understanding of history-informed care, right? So fundamental to the who I am in a counseling room is that person who's holding that knowing that maybe the individual in front of me doesn't even hold, right? So Dr. Wyman so said, we all come knowing some trauma has happened to Indigenous people, but maybe as Indigenous people we don't even fully know that it was trauma that happened to us. So she said we talk about being from dysfunctional families, and so I hear that so much in adult counseling. People will talk about their dysfunctional family, and I really just like to pause when that comes into the room and ask people, is it your family that has been dysfunctional, or has it been the system to which you were trying to survive, right? And so as Indigenous people, we are survivors of a system that we weren't supposed to survive, right? The intention was not for me to be sitting here as a strong Métis woman. That is not the intention of the system. The fact that I am here is pretty miraculous, and I feel it as a strength, and I feel it as a connection to culture that allows me to be here. And one of my colleagues has said recently, she learned about herself at university. And I said, that was me too. That was me too. I knew that there was something different about the way we were, or who we were, and I often had that question growing up, what are you? Where do you come from? Why are you so exotic looking? All those questions, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, I'm just like everybody else. And it wasn't until I was registering for university that that question was, am I going to tick the box or am I not going to tick the box? And it was the first real step for me into that wellness, that wholeness, that connecting to the beauty of the who I am, and not just believing in the negativity of what I thought I was, or the internalized racism that was carried and passed down from generation to generation. My mom was afraid of identifying as Métis, and it made sense, right? Our family was part of the Louis Riel Rebellion. My family fought beside Louis Riel in those wars, those rebellions, those fights. But it wasn't safe for us to then after say, yeah, we're Métis. It was like you went and hide, right? Oh, there's Dwayne. There was a reason, and Jesse Thistle, I don't know if anybody is studying or listening to Jesse Thistle these days. He's a scholar that's talking out in Toronto at York University, a PhD, studying the difference of PTSD and Métis people, because we do have our unique history with the government. So I'm speaking to you from this place of knowing more about the who I am, not fully understanding the complexity of the who I am as a Métis woman, but moving towards that wellness. So as Dr. Wyman spoke, it's an essential piece of the why I can do the work that I do and how I can show up to do the work that I do, that I have this supported in me in my day-to-day being. And so that's the gift that I try to show to the people that I work with in the one-on-one counseling, as well as when I'm working with you when doing the Indigenous cultural safety trainings, is that you can understand that many Indigenous people do not know the beauty of who we are or the gifts that we come when we connect to culture. Elder Jerry, I feel embarrassed to be talking before him really, because he's been such a mentor to me in my healing journey, in my connecting to culture, and my knowing who I am. And even just before we started, he just reached over and he squeezed my head and he said, "You're a warm and beautiful woman." Mm-hmm. And it just brought tears to my eyes, right? It's that feeling of, yes, this is where I'm supposed to be. He was trying to talk me sweet so that I would go first, but I did. I'll do what I'm told. But it did bring tears to my eyes, because here's an elder telling me that I'm a warm and beautiful person, and I have something important to share in this room with you today. And I feel honored, and I almost feel like I don't want to speak anymore, because I really want to have the questions. The questions is where I think the richness is going to be. I could talk forever. Everybody knows that I talk. But my dream is that I can facilitate your understanding, that I can facilitate your lens to shift a little bit, to understand the who we are. And it's not the deficit model, right? It's not that there's something wrong with us, that we are here where we are right now in Canada. The why we are where we are right now in Canada as Indigenous people with all those health gaps was intended. So what we're trying to do now is to flip that, right? We are well people. And there is a path to that wellness for all of us. And my intention, and when we were in Newark up in Bella Coola doing the Indigenous cultural safety trainings, a young woman came up to me afterwards, a Newark woman, and she was crying, and she was deeply moved by the training. And I was like, oh no, right? Because the training isn't really intended for Indigenous people, but I thought, oh no, I hope that she's going away well. And she said, I wish you could come to the reserve and do this training for us. We don't even know why our grandparents are the way they are. We don't understand why there's been such violence in our communities or such addiction struggles, right? We all need to know this as Canadians, as Indigenous people, as healthcare providers. So I just embrace you all being in the room today. I feel honored to be a part of any of this discussion, and really proud to stand here and open to any questions that people may have when it's time, or at break, or whenever. My witch.